Greet you all students of ME Final. This is paper 4th, Unit C, and we are having quality time with A.K. Ramanujan. And of course, his craftsmanship, his style of writing as a linguist, and as an eminent poet. And the poems prescribed in your syllabus, among them A River, it is one of the most commendable poems. Because now the reason behind it is that, of course, it is important from the point of view of symbolism, imagery. But the striking feature in this poetry is that, it has tabular like effect. Now, what is the meaning of that tabular like effect? Some kind of we have picturesque depiction and arrangement of people, or say some kind of scene in which there is no movement and nobody is speaking. So we can say the arrangement of people who do not move or speak, especially on a stage, and who represent a view of life, okay, a view of life in an event, etc. So there is no kind of moment, so that kind of still picture, it gives really a tabular like effect. Okay, so is that clear? So this is, I think, one of peculiar aspects of A.K. Ramanujan's poetry. And see, when we talk about symbolism, see, this sacred river, it is symbol of what? Rich Indian culture, so cultural heritage. And this, the theme is based on the sacred river Vikai. So what is the name of this river? Vikai. And it is reminiscent of R. Parthasarthi's poem also, that recently you studied it, with paper boats boys tickle her ribs. Do you remember? And see, we have some similar features in both the poems. Similarity we have. Now this river Vikai, in this particular A.K. Ramanujan's poem A River, this river, it flows through Madurai, and the city which is famous for Tamil art, culture and literature. So we have, in a way, the evocative impact of the river. And this river, which reflects the poet's innermost feelings, and to inspire someone to feel intensely, immensely for the pious river. So this symbolism, and it's really, see here, symbolism. Okay, this is one of the most important points. And even this city also, it is, as he has depicted, it is city of temple and of poets. So it is also, in a way, symbol of say rich art, culture and literature. So this is in a way cultural center. And so this impact of the poem. Now the poem is an evocation of the river Vikai. And another point that here we have, the imagery also is very important in this poem. Imagery of, say, two seasons. Okay, here just have a look: summer season and rainy season. So summer, and we have flood affected areas and the drought affected area. This is it causes devastation. So this kind of empathy the poet has for the people who they have to suffer a lot in both in flood and drought kind of condition. So these two important points we have. Now you just have a look. This is, say, the if you just have a look, these are some important points here for your better understanding. So we have picturesque depiction and very pathetic condition. You would understand, you just have a look here. It is the text also. Text is there. You must be thorough with the text. Here it is the this river and very pathetic condition, and we have three scenes in this poem. So you just point wise, you can very well understand it. So flood affected areas, it causes devastation. And this literary device that we have just discussed. Now, see, when we discuss this particular poem, see, here focus on the contrast that poet has pointed out here. And our Indian sensibility, expression of what? Indian sensibility with this Western education. And see, unlike other poets, say like R. Parthasarathi, and here, and even yes, Nissim Askil, he points out that Western education, it sharpened and nourished his vision of life. So this is, in this river, this poem. So this is very important. It is just like memoirs also. So these are certain points in this poem. You just have a look. These are important points for your examination also. These are very important points. So the theme, okay, and see, it is published in which collection? Poetic collection? Yes, you just have a look here. It is published in the Striders, very in 1966. It was published in this, and the theme also, it is based on river Vikai, and symbolical significance as we have just discussed it. Now the contrast you must have idea about, because at this level, MA level, this contrast, compare and contrast with other poets also. And at the same time, Nissim Askil also, I mean, some different and very peculiar, unique aspect in A.K. Ramanujan's poetry. Because he has this positive dynamism in the sense that he is of the opinion that Western education, sharpened and nourished his vision of life. So this is, I mean, one of the important points. And then we have, certain other literary devices, and we would discuss that also. I mean, this style. So you must focus on the theme also, his style. And then, for instance, as we discussed earlier also, tabular kind of effect and all that. Then, it is like memoirs. I mean, memoirs, just reminiscence of that and see the past memories formed, and so treasure of his memory, vivid pictures of Indian life. Now, another point is this satire on Tamil poets, both old and new poets. So, we have in a way ironic contrast. And now, what is the reason behind this ironic contrast? The poet, he very frankly, very honestly, and he, satirizes the old and new poets. See, when poets generally, they write about some these rivers, and even, flood affected areas and in drought kind of condition. I mean, they are so unconcerned about the sufferings and devastation and destruction. So this point also he has highlighted. Now, in this poem particularly, just have a look. Text is very important, students. So in this particular poem, as in the beginning, I focused the point of symbolism. The city, Madurai, and sacred river, symbol of civilizations also. Yes, and development. It is a lifeline, as we discussed earlier in our Parthasarathis poems, if you remember, and you must rather remember and you revise it, because in examination you have to, yes, cover all these points. Now, in imagery, when we talk about vivid images, also we have the city Madurai and city of temples and poets. Now, we have in the first stanza, we have depiction of summer season, and we have these vivid images of river dries. See, this is kind of activity for the students of MA final. When you just pick some images and you very well understand and comprehend the in-depth emotions of the poet. Say, these are images, for instance, river dries to a trickle. Now, what does it mean? And our poet is so, moved and stirred with this, drought condition. So dries, dried river and all that. And you see the condition and personification is also very important when the poet, he talks about the river, and this is as we have in our Parthsarthi's poem also. And see the kind of, garbage is there. So that kind of pathetic, condition is highlighted. Rusty bars and women's hair and all that, and wet stones, and this is what he has. And now it is, wet stones like sleep a crocodile. Yes, this is the, very, very touching scene of river dried. And so this is the first scene in which the poet has highlighted all these points. And the kind of, the purpose is that the readers and even the, the people in general, they must have empathy for the river. And this is the, because of ecological imbalance. So that kind of, importance, that kind of element is also highlighted, that we must be aware of this environmental concerns. Yes, and polluted areas and all that, and people are so unconcerned about that, and it is really very serious matter. And another scene in which now absolutely, change of scene. One scene in summer and, which is drought condition, and then second is flood. The people everywhere now, again we have, satire in this first and second, scene also. The satire that people, everywhere talk. See, these are certain images. See, people, and they, when they gossip about that, and when they discussed about the inches rising and water rising. But what is the, pathetic and poor condition of that area? See, it is really very touching and heartrending scene. Yes, it carried 3 villages' houses. See the devastation and destruction. And we are really even the identical experience with the poet. And this is really success of writing, the craftsmanship of the poet. When readers and poet, they have identical experience, poetic experience. And we are also really moved by this pathetic condition when one pregnant woman and a couple of cows, they were drowned. Then the satire also is very important. The satire on the new and old poets. No one spoke in verse of the pregnant woman and of these, people and even animals. They are suffering, they are drowned. It carried away 3 villages. See, this kind of, say, situation, this kind of, condition that poet has highlighted. Now, what are the points that the poet has discussed? He's just, you just have a look here. We have another point that, see the vivid images, okay? So you just, now, what are these images that you must have idea? This is, now when we discuss images, see art Sarthi's, art of poetry also is very important. And his established potential as a great poet who has given new direction to Indian poetry. And what is the reason behind it? Because, there is, as an eminent linguist also, there is influence of linguistics on his poetry and the importance of words and phrases. And, as he himself, he has pointed out here, in which, in these images, that, it is this poetry, it is made of words and some catchy words we have. And, but here, words, they are like the painter, and they just, gestures also. Some emotions are there, and non-verbal also, okay? When wet stones and all that, like sleep crocodile. See, here we have non-verbal expressions. And in which he is using the plastic art, which is he has pointed out. And also, as as when we, in the beginning, when we discuss tabular kind of effect, and even in see the contra and the performing art also, the words, they are very, in which very suggestive here, okay? See here some words in which he has pointed out, say, the rusty bars and women hair and straw. And see, this is the, and even the, see the couple of cows, and when he says one pregnant woman, they were drowned. So this is the, these, the effect of these words and phrases. So here, language is like perception. Yes, perception, and it acquires a quality of experience. See, the word itself is an experience. It is not just confined to some kind of, say, notion or idea or view. It is a sort of experience. And that's why here he and he here, you are, I mean, he says that he has shared all these, his experiences, his, innermost feeling with the readers. And what is the reason behind it? Because he has pointed out that these words, they have sound also. See, all these sounds and meanings and emotions. So as a linguist, he has highlighted these points. Now, when we, talk about the poem, the three, in this we have three scenes. The satire on the old and new poets. This is the, third important scene. You just have a look here, say, of this poem, in which, the poet, the sense of empathy throughout the poem. The poet is really moved when all these people, they have been suffering, and due to flood, and even in the beginning when he has highlighted the drought condition of that area, so these are, the point, the expression is so simple, the language is also, as I have just mentioned this point. But what are other important points, students, according to your level, at ME level, you have to cover other points also when we, discuss, when we encapsulate different, ideas about, and different kind of, views, elements, features of this poem. Now we have another point is that we have commendable physiognomy. Now what is physiognomy? What do you understand by physiognomy? See, physical appearance of the face, be it water, or say river, or women, or cows, or the like, all we have physiognomy. This aspect is also very significant. And the poet's love for the river is also reflected. Intensity of emotions, and his expression of pain at that time due to her condition, as we have her, because personification. And now when the feeling of empathy is predominating throughout the poem, and you can compare and contrast with the, say, Parthasarthi's poem based on the river Vakai. And now what was the title, do you remember? Recently you studied that poem. Yes, with paper boats boys tickle her ribs. And even in that poem, we have we obviously in R. Parthasarthi's poem also we have cinematic visualization. The scene shifts from the river Vakai, and so this is holy river, and particularly which is breath and lifeline for the people in in the generations after generations. So due to lack of water, it turned, as here also in A.K. Ramanujan poems he has pointed out, it is just reduced to a stream. In the beginning, the first stanza, when he has highlighted the drought kind of condition, and and it's even in R. Parthasarthi's poem also, when he has pointed out this floated paper and boats and all, then buffalo bathing over there, and see, so this is polluted stagnant water. So this it is in a way environmental concern. It is also one of the important elements in these poems. So the poet when he has highlighted these points, So environmental pollution, the victim, this river, it has become a victim of environmental pollution. And here, in A.K. Ramanujan's poem, only we have ecological aspect is also, ecological balance is also highlighted. Not only this, now this is one of the important reasons, and we must have awareness regarding environmental concern. Yes, this is, I think, very relevant even today. So in all these poems we have these points that from your examination point of view, see, you just have a look. These are certain points in which physiognomy, and these are, as we have just, if you just review of that, and the poet's passion for the river Vakai, and or both the kind. Now see the, yes, when we talk about personification, and when we discuss memoirs and treasure of memories, or say different aspects other, like environmental concern, at this time you must also compare and contrast with R. Parthasarthi's poem. And we have, of course, we have similarities, and this is the title, as you studied this poem, personification and all that, we have these similarities, pathetic condition, but contrast is also there. In A.K. Ramanujan, he covered both the seasons on the one hand, and at the same time ecological imbalance also he has highlighted. And from that point of view, students at MA level, you should study his other poems also. And see, the here we have ecology. Now at least you should know the titles and some brief note of Arthpar Sarthi, as we discussed earlier. But A.K. Ramanujan, here when we focus particular this poem, a river, you can study other poems, or at least as other than prescribed in your syllabus. And see, these are ecology. See, these are poems, Raj Parsarthi's poems we have. And I think these poems, when you discuss, when you write in examination about the poem like river, and say Raj Parsarthi's general view of his craftsmanship, or say his theme, you should know. I mean, you can quote these poems also for your better performance in examination. And what are these poems title? Of Mother, among other things. I mean, this poem, I recommend, I suggest that these poems should be prescribed in your syllabus. I mean, these are, I mean, very important poems. And a small scale reflections on a great house. So his theme, familial relations and all that. And the Strider's also one of the important poems. And ecology, this is what actually I am here highlighting, ecology. This is the title of one of his poems. And you can quote these poems. And history, these are, other poems other than your syllabus. So students, you just revise it and we'll continue. Thank you.